First of all, thank you very much for coming here, and congratulations on winning the 2011 53rd Grammy Award. You're the first jazz artist to win this award. And how did you feel? Was it a shock to you as well as the Grammy itself? Because one of the nominees were Justin Bieber.
Right, yeah.
Right? How did you feel? Can you tell us a little bit about that day?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just being nominated was such a surprise, of course. I mean, nominated in that category was very unexpected. And then the actual day of the Grammys, I had been running around doing many other things, and I sort of last minute made it to my seat for the actual ceremony, and was just enjoying the experience of being there. Nobody really thought I even had a chance of winning that Grammy in the category with a lot of very well-known, sort of more popular artists. So when I heard my name, it didn't even penetrate at first. It was such a shock. And then I just felt so overwhelmed with gratitude, you know. It takes a lot of individuals that are members of NARAS, the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, to check my name off in a little box. So I was just very overwhelmed with gratitude for all the people that had been thinking of me on the day they voted. I still don't quite understand and can't quite comprehend what happened. I know it's really important, but it just seems like something so outside of anything I ever thought of or thought of experiencing. It's hard to put it in context, but I think it's definitely something good for like the jazz community at large. I think often when we think of accessibility and problems with accessibility, I don't think it's because the music isn't inviting to listeners. It's just that most people never get a chance to be exposed to the music. So even just having one jazz musician, I think, in that realm with other commercial popular artists, hopefully will bring a little more awareness to people that jazz music is thriving. It's everywhere. And hopefully will make it literally more accessible, meaning people will have more opportunities to access the music. That is the wish. Those are my thoughts and wishes for the Grammy and what it might mean in my life and for the larger community, jazz community.
And before moving to your amazing life and your amazing career, you told me that you had a Turkish designer at that date. Again, talking about Grammys Day. You were wearing a beautiful, elegant dress designed by a Turkish designer.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that too?
Absolutely. Well, I was so busy before the Grammys, and I started getting really nervous. Like, oh my God, I know there's going to be a lot of photographers and people writing about what I'm wearing, whatever happens, and I don't know what I'm going to wear. It's hard to shop for a dress for that kind of occasion. So I was getting really nervous, and my dear friend said, you know, I have a friend that's an amazing designer. We went to the website, and every piece was beautiful, but I saw something specific, this green dress, and I thought, like, oh, that could be the dress. This woman's name is Selma Caracas. Selma Caraca. Oh, Caraja, is that how you say it?
Selma Karaca, yes.
And she's based in Brooklyn. She makes everything by hand in her house, in her shop, in her studio.
Wow.
So I went and tried on the dress. It somehow fit perfectly, and I was on my way to LA. I tried it on my way to the airport. It fit perfectly. Yeah, and everyone keeps speaking about that dress. It was really sort of providential, the way that I met her and came familiar with her designs. Hopefully that'll be a good platform for her artistry, because she's a phenomenal designer. And that was, I mean, I couldn't have imagined a more perfect dress.
Everything came together.
Everything came together.
Perfect day.
Absolutely.
Perfect dress, perfect artist.
Thank you.
And you were the first jazz artist. Not only you were the first jazz artist to win the Grammy, but you were also the youngest bass player in the program at college. You were 5 when you taught yourself how to play the violin. You grew up with Beethoven's sonatas. So that brings me to your family, the way you grew up. You said in one of the interviews that you come from Oregon, Portland, which is a scary place, a ghetto. Yet you got to be so successful and amazing and talented. Who played an important role in this when you were growing up?
Well, you know, compared to a lot, just to clarify, compared to many places in the U.S. and in the world at large, Portland as a whole is not a scary, you know, dangerous place. There was a specific period in the 80s and 90s where there was a lot of gang violence, and a lot of gangs were moving up from California. The economy was really having a hard hit, So there was just a lot of poverty, and a lot of the circumstances were leading people to alternative means of making a living, including prostitution and gang violence and a lot of theft. But my mother, who raised me, single parent, me and my brother, she was really able to sort of contextualize what we were seeing outside of the home in, a child's version of a larger social context. So we'd be seeing all these crazy things happening or hearing about them in the news or hearing gunshots. And she's always trying to contextualize it like, it's not bad people. It's not that we're afraid of these events. These are the circumstances that lead people to these lives. We need to pray for them and hope for better means. Everybody's suffering in the circumstance, not just us and our fears, just to specifically speak to the scariness or violence. But in terms of art, she really just believed in, so I guess I showed such a desire for music so young. So she thought, okay, I'm not going to, say you have to practice or put her in all these programs. She would listen to what I wanted to do and just support me. She'd give me the resources. And then I was responsible for for doing it or not, or doing the homework. I didn't feel any pressure, from my parent, which I think for my nature was the most important, because I really was allowed my own explorative journey in art, which I think was crucial. It was always something fun. It was always something enjoyable from the heart. I never felt like it was work or like something I had to do. So I always had a really joyful relationship with art and music that carried me through to my teenage years. And then it started to seem like it could be a career. So when I went to Berkeley, moved to Boston, all of a sudden, like, being a professional musician became a reality. But the joy now was still fueling the work ethic that now I needed to really be disciplined and work really hard, of course, to become a professional musician. And I still hark that back to my mother for instilling in me the concept that music and art is a joy, and it's something that you love to do. It doesn't have to be a burden. So even, when you're in school and stressing about projects and homework and practicing, there was still such a strong presence of joy with the relationship to the instrument and music that I think that the work didn't feel burdensome. It was sort of easy to get through, and I still feel like that, and I think that's why the busyness doesn't, I don't feel oppressed. Many people are like, wow, you must be so tired, like, you have such a hard schedule, and I don't feel like that at all. I actually can't understand what people are
Because you
talking
have the
about.
passion, natural
I
passion
love
for
it. I mean, I'm doing exactly what I love to do, Maybe flying can make you tired, but it's a blessing to be getting somewhere in one day and playing a concert, and then flying to another place the next day and playing another concert. I always remember the one time I was in Turkey was when I did a performance in Istanbul with Joe Lovano. And we flew into Istanbul that day. We drove to the theater, did the show, and left the next morning. So it was a total of maybe 18 hours. But that's an amazing experience. I walked around the city and I met a lot of people and just got to see some of the sights. And I thought to myself, okay, I guess I could complain about only being here for a few hours, but what a tremendous opportunity just to set foot on such an incredible, like the mythology of the city and this image in my mind, things that you read about all these places in the world, and getting to actually set foot there through the medium of performance, being invited to play music. I couldn't think of anything more wonderful, at least for me.
Well, your life is amazing, and you had an amazing mom. Her encouragement and motivating you brought the talent and the hard work that you already had in you, and which actually leads me to the question of, at one point, you wanted to study political science. Is that right?
That's
Esperanza?
correct. That's correct. Yeah, I became really curious about this concept of intermediate technology, the idea of going into, I don't know, an impoverished town or a village where people were suffering from poverty. And instead of sort of setting up like an international relief network system there, you would come in and work with community leaders and elders and really try to dissect and understand the issues relating to that geographic area, that culture, the history. Is it because of the consequences of colonialism? Is it because of disease? Is it because of mortality or lack of education for women? And going and really all the resources that the town or the village needs, trying to find ways from the local resources, the local people, to empower them so it can, keep evolving, educating the people there, learning how to use technology and material that is there in their control, that they have access to without, the help of some sort of aid. which is, of course, meaningful too. That was what I was really curious about, and I thought getting involved with, poli-sci, which is such an open